Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today, we're going to be covering this article. I do just want to say before we start, I do have a migraine. So if I think slowly or something, I'm sorry to anybody who is a stickler for that sort of thing. The point of this daily run is to just show up no matter what, perfect or not. That's how it works. Within downsizing as well, you show up every day. I'm sure you're not shocked. All right. The body positivity movement isn't dead, even if it feels like it is. So this is from December 22nd of 2025. This year felt like the final nail in the coffin for a movement pushing for body inclusivity, or at least body neutrality. So where do we go from here? Writer Michelle Konstantinovsky investigates. I tried. I told you I literally have a migraine. I tried. When I first started writing a book earlier this year about why millennial women have been uniquely screwed over by society's beauty image ideals, I used the past tense a little too confidently. We'd entered a new age of body positivity, or so I thought. Now, at the tail end of 2025, I'm devastated to admit that I was celebrating prematurely and naively, because in retrospect, this year has felt like the final nail in the coffin for a movement originally rooted in challenging anti-fat discrimination and uplifting marginalized bodies. In so many ways, it feels as though we're right back where we started. We don't have to stay here, though. So I noticed that a lot this year. The narrative was that things used to be so great. And the thing that I always find funny about it is, like, if you were to look at any year prior to this year, they were still complaining just as much about how awful it is. So I've always found that interesting that they went with that. So maybe 2026, they're going to be like, we're going to pick it back up, or we're going to turn it around, or we're going to do this, We'll see. I first noticed the shift happening in 2022 after the New York Post ran an article, Bye Bye Booty, Heroin Chic is Back. And Kim Kardashian bragged about her Met Gala crash, you-know-what. In the years following, an alarming number of already thin celebrities quickly but quietly dropped significant weight, and the Ozempic discourse began. It all seemed to escalate this year. Something actor Jamila Jamil noted when she took to TikTok in November to express concern about her colleagues in a now viral post. I'm incredibly worried about my peers, she said in the video. Every event I go to, when I hug people, it feels like they're going to snap in my hands. To those who might wince at Jamil's frank take, she had a rebuttal. It is not body shaming to comment on the fact that there's a rapid rise of an aesthetic of emaciation amongst women in Hollywood. Okay. Jamil's statements went viral around the same time the discussion surrounding Wicked actors Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo's bodies had reached a fever pitch. Grande herself has twice condemned public scrutiny of others' bodies, presumably including her own. Licensed mental health counselor Francesca Emma was having so many conversations with clients about the star's appearances that she felt compelled to create an Instagram post titled Triggered by Wicked, Here's Why. Oh my gosh. She argued that the relentless media coverage highlighted a bigger cultural trend. Sorry, I just lost my place. That the relentless media coverage highlighted a bigger cultural trend that is the return of extreme thinness in the spotlight, and encouraged anyone triggered or distracted by the bodies they saw on screen to recognize the ways in which we've been programmed and conditioned to feel about ourselves. So, okay. I'm not necessarily here to rebut everything in this article. I want to just see where fat acceptance is headed. This is one of those moments where we're just kind of seeing the direction the wind is blowing. So they're going with extreme thinness is now being pushed onto everybody all the time. But again, I'm still having an issue seeing how it's any different. Like, I have this feeling where they're like, but it's different now. It's different this time. It's this, but it's different. And I'm like, it's the same thing I've been hearing my whole life. Honestly, I think I've heard it, I don't even know, at least since the late 2000s, at least. I've been hearing that people are too thin or whatever. I mean, that's not new, so I don't know. I don't know if sometimes I'll have to see like the age of some of the people who are writing these, but to me, sometimes when people are younger, they act like it's the same thing. I don't know what's up with millennials. Like, I don't know if they're just like millennials in this space, because I'm pretty sure she is a millennial because she said that, but it's like, I don't know if there's like amnesia or something. There's a lack of memory from even 2 or 3 years ago, anytime prior to 2020. Like, they were complaining about the exact same things back then. So I don't know, maybe they just took for granted what they had, which was barely anything, and now they just have nothing. So, but I feel like they're honestly nostalgic or romanticizing the past. That's what I feel like every time. But then they demonize the early 2000s, and they're like, the early 2000s, but 2019 was amazing. And it's like, was it? Because you guys were complaining just as much then. I'm just saying, and there was just as much hate at that time. Like, I don't know. I feel like their relationship with time is really interesting, because I feel like a lot of these conversations, they're just what you pay attention to. It's not really like a year or a time. Like, I think it's this view that people universally experience these conversations. I don't think that's true at all, because just because they were in a social media bubble in 2019, that doesn't mean that everyone else was there with them. So I just don't understand. I guess that's what I'm having an issue with. It's literally like, because social media has changed, they just don't know what to do, because they can't just simply attach fat politics to a trending topic, which is what they did forever. It's certainly in the 2020s. That's what they did from 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. And then they couldn't really do it as much after that. They didn't have anywhere to go, because media changed, social media changed, and things are just kind of different, where there isn't that one thing that everybody's talking about all the time. It's not really like that anymore. So I almost feel like the panini broke them, because that was something that everybody had to deal with, and so they could really latch onto that, and they could get a lot of attention at that time. And I feel like they got really lazy or something during that time, and then the world moved on, and they couldn't evolve. And I don't know if they're going to, because this is all stuff that I've heard forever. So, I mean, the complaints about Ozempic, the complaints about people are too thin, the complaints about like all this other stuff, I feel like I've heard it all. And I've only been doing this activism since 2023 primarily, and it's all the same talking points pretty much that I heard in 2 years ago. I feel like it's like it's almost like a Groundhog Day episode, or like a Groundhog Day movie moment for me as an activist, because I don't know if they're just trying to reset it or something. I mean, I'll be really interested to see what other articles say, because I think there's literally an article that's similar to this for 2024. That was like the year that it died. The year that body positivity died. Like, I heard that a year ago. Now, it's almost like they're recycling the same article. It's kind of crazy. Okay, anyways. Okay, it ended up being one of my most shared pieces of content, which really exemplifies how it resonates with everyone. Not everyone. She tells me, the issue isn't the individual actresses. We never know what anyone is navigating. It is about the larger cultural shift. We're watching thinness return to center stage, and the real work is noticing what our reactions reveal. Again, you guys were complaining about this in 2019. It was the same thing. If anything, back then they were saying thinness is centered. Now they're saying it's returning to the center. When was it not there then? Because every year I've been doing this, it's been in the center. When I would watch other people react in 2021 and 2022, thinness was in the center then too. Like, What are you talking about? That's what I just don't know. I literally feel like they're like trying to recreate some kind of trauma. Like they're trying so hard to recreate what they experienced in the past or something. Because to me, it's like, it never really changed. It just didn't. And I don't know if that was, they had like this idea that because corporations were pushing for mid-size models for a while, and it wasn't popular when they were doing that either. There was tons of pushback. Like I remember this Gillette ad. I can't remember exactly who, but I feel like it might have been Anna O'Brien or something. But it was somebody where there was a Gillette ad in 2019 and everyone freaked out about it. And it wasn't popular. So I just don't understand, like, what's this idea that it was popular? I don't get it. I just don't. This is why these conversations are so hard to have. For most intents and purposes, commenting on others' bodies, even out of genuine concern, is rarely helpful, productive, or kind, despite the regularity with which it happens. We don't know why other people gain or lose weight, and we know even less about what, if any, bearing that their weight has on their health. This is just completely false. So we do know why. It's not mystical. It occurs because somebody's eating more or less. You may not know the reason why, but if you know the person, then you'll probably know why. As far as what, if any, bearing their weight has on their health. Rolling of the eyes beyond. And yet, Jamil and Emma aren't wrong in their observations, as extreme weight loss at any cost continues to be celebrated and has become more normalized by the widespread use of GLP-1 medications. In part because of you guys, because you guys talked about you push the idea that being fat is the worst thing in the world. Like, you guys don't understand. Well, maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe they do understand it as far as, like, within the toxic ritualistic world. They understand that them saying how awful it is to be fat all the time, and they say it like people way over exaggerate it. Like, I'm sorry. People do. Even having lost so much weight, the way that they talk about it, it is such an exaggeration. Even like a lot of mid-sized princess content that I reacted to this year, where it's people who have lost weight, they way over dramatize it. It's not. There are slight differences, but it's not that obvious. Like, as somebody who has very significantly downsized, lost 160 pounds, that's a lot. There are very subtle differences. It's tiny. It is tiny. And all it is really like, it's more up to you, I guess, where it's like, it's kind of more on you, like how you behave, how you act, how you are. But there's no like imaginary non-judgment. There's no like everybody just gives you a car or something. Thin privilege doesn't actually exist. It's just, you're just a normal person, period. You know, I don't know about being massively in shape privilege. That's a little bit different. I haven't quite been there. But as far as just being a normal person, you're just treated normally. And it's very much about like what you bring to a situation. You're not held back, but you're not really pushed forward either. And people within the toxic ritualistic world, they over exaggerate the differences. Everything becomes about how different you're treated and how this and how that. I do touch upon it on this channel. I have throughout the eras, but it's because I want to tell you the truth and how it actually is different. And I'm a pretty sensitive person. And so for me to like really sit and like be monitoring it so closely, so often, observing it in other people, the whole shebang, it's not that much. It doesn't change that much of how people see you. I think a lot of people that are super huge, they would be shocked at how little it actually affects you because of fat acceptance. Their narrative of how much being fat brings you down. And again, people believe it and they're like, oh my gosh, oh, this is the worst thing in the world. Da, da, da. Like, I think it's the worst thing in the world to be super morbidly obese from a health perspective. Absolutely. It's awful. Most of the transformation has been health wise, honestly. Like, the way my health is now versus 2 years ago, it's incredibly transformational. It's things that I never thought were related got better. My health is so much better than it was, so incredibly better. And the amount of internal work I had to do to sustain recovery from Hinge and to further recover and do the physical recovery and do all that stuff, it was a lot of work and there was a lot of growth and it was very hard and challenging. But it's not as external as people think. It's mostly internal. How you feel about yourself, how you feel about like your health in general, like not having that anxiety. I had a constant health anxiety because I could feel that things were wrong all the time. And it wasn't just me being like extra. It's like, no, like I was really ill, you know? I don't have that anymore. I'm not. So it's like, that is just unbelievable. Like the way that I sleep, like how easy it is to sleep now, or like how comfortable it is to lay on a bed. Like my bed is a firm mattress and I can just lay on it and it's like nothing. The way I can fit into stuff, that's so much easier, you know, walking up a flight of stairs, being active, all that stuff, it's so much easier. So to me, it's like that's really where the difference lies. It lies in your abilities and your lifestyle and all that stuff, and then some of the mood stuff, and even some of the spiritual growth I've been able to do. I have never had such a clarity of mind to be able to see things as clearly as when I was not fat or overweight. You know, it's like, so the benefits internally, the benefits to your health, both mental and physical, those are absolutely invaluable and drastically transformative in a way that you couldn't even imagine. But as far as how other people see you, it's like you're slightly more visible. Maybe you get a little bit more respect. You're just included. You're not sidelined. That's the way I could put it. There's a sidelining of fat people. But sidelining is not this active bullying hatred that they act like it is. It's not like that. Typically it's not, especially not in today's day and age. And it still isn't really that way. Like, especially if you're out in public in the United States, like, please, it's so normalized to be obese. So I don't understand where this is, you know what I mean? I just, it's literally like, I feel like the people that say this stuff, they just literally don't have a life at all. And I don't even have that much of a life, but I guess I have more of one than them. Like, I go outside a lot. I'm in public a lot. Like I told you, I'm recognized around these parts. So I deal with people on a daily basis in public. And I touch grass pretty much daily and I see how I'm treated. I see how other people are treated. You know, it's like, and I've been to LA, so you can't just be like, well, it's because you're in the South. I've traveled to LA quite a few times all throughout the journey, during this journey, and nothing happened. You know, it's like, even being on a plane and all that, nothing happened. So I think people, they just over exaggerate it. Like, I had something happen like maybe 3 or 4 times in LA or in California. 3 or 4 times out of like literally 25 years or something. You know, I think there was a lot of commentary in the 2000s when I was really young, but it was mostly from family that also had problems. It wasn't from other people. It wasn't from the public. There was a little bit of it in school. And that's like the 2000s, you know, like when I was in middle school and stuff, there was an occasional comment here or there. But it was nothing compared to the daily tirade against myself all of the time. And I think what it is that a lot of these women, they see it happen to somebody on TV, or they hear about it happening to someone else, and they act like it happened to them. They put themselves into other people's experiences. And if you do that, then you can have an unlimited amount of, vicarious trauma through what's happening to anyone else at any given time, which is an insane standard that will never actually go away. But I think that's the point. Anyways. And yet, even though GLP-1s are being misused by some people, others are finding immense relief and healing in their existence. Just as the seeming regression in body positivity is not the fault of any one person, the medications themselves are not the issue. There's a lot of nuance that's often missed when we talk about weight and the personal decisions people make about their own bodies. Back in the 2010s, when I was on my own high horse about body positivity and what I thought it meant, I too might have railed against Ozempic and other GLP-1s without fully understanding or appreciating their potential benefits. I think a lot of us mistook body positivity to mean an obligation to love oneself unconditionally at any size, regardless of whether one is genuinely happy or healthy in their body. Unconditional self-love is a beautiful sentiment, but no one should be forced to remain in a body that's taking a toll on their mental or physical health just for the sake of upholding the concept of body positivity. Okay. So then what is the point of this article? But while it's true that our individual health decisions are personal, what about public figures? Especially the ones who built their platforms on body positivity and celebrating larger bodies in particular. Do they owe it to their fans to remain the same size indefinitely? Are they inauthentic or fatphobic if they decide for whatever reason to lose weight? There is this feeling that fat people can't do anything right because if they stay fat and hate themselves or they stay fat and love themselves, they're berated for that either way, says social strategist, speaker, and author Naya Patterson. Really, isn't the solution just to fight for justice and the right to exist in our bodies? Long-term body confidence influencer Sarah Nicole Landry, aka the Bird's Papaya, offers a similarly nuanced take, which ultimately boils down to the fact that it shouldn't be anyone's business what a woman chooses to do with her body. I have always stood on the side of body autonomy, she tells me, so I stay on that side even as people make choices that are different from mine. I don't want to fall into the trap of judging other women for her body or choices. This is interesting. So if they embrace body autonomy, then they have fallen back into a defensive position, which is huge. That is absolutely huge for anti-fat acceptance. If they are now retreating in general, which that might be, if I keep seeing this sentiment, because they all say the same things, so we'll have to keep looking throughout January. But if they are going with this, then we have a major victory here. Because if they are pulling back and they are retreating into a defensive stance, and going with bodily autonomy, we have officially moved the needle as far as an activistic goal. So we will see. I want to see this said more before I say that. When model Remy Bader revealed she had undergone bariatric surgery in 2023, many accused her of withholding information from fans who had come to know and trust her as a body positivity spokesperson. But Bader has refuted that entire label, saying, "I'm not body positive. I made that so clear because I never said I love myself and my body every day. People started deciding that I was a part of this body positive movement." When Meghan Trainor openly discussed using the GLP-1 drug Mounjaro to lose weight, people had a lot to say, considering the singer made a name for herself preaching against stick figure silicone Barbie dolls. "It's weird. I'm finally so proud of myself and starting to love myself, and I've never gotten more hate," she said in a radio interview. "I was confused, lost, really sad, and heartbroken that I took care of myself, but everyone's angry." Yeah, I do think that where I do think people are right is there is definitely, people have a problem with the change. When it changes, there's a shift, and that shift can be harsh. And I think that that's what I've been struggling with personally, is just understanding how like changeable a person's reputation is, or how changeable your social standing is because of my downsizing journey, and seeing how much it has evolved over time, and seeing how at different sizes people saw me differently, which although it's not the most dramatic thing in the world, it still matters because it's still true. And so I've been dealing with that myself, where it's like I care even less about what other people think now, because I see that a lot of it is just, it's based on a house of cards, basically. It's like it really doesn't matter that much. And I might actually do a video about that at some point, like a health update, because I've been thinking about that a lot. But it's just, I don't know. I think the whole premise is dumb. I think the whole idea of like getting healthy conditional upon how other people are going to see you in general, or having really any kind of feeling about how other people see you in regard to downsizing, I think it's stupid. I don't think it's something that should be considered as far as your decision. But I do think that it's good to know. That's why I did cover it throughout it, because I wanted people to know. I just want you to be prepared for certain aspects, but it should never affect what you decide to do, and certainly not if you're pursuing health. I mean, your health matters so much more than what other people think. It just does. I'm sorry, not sorry. When Meghan Trainor openly discussed, I already read that. When Serena Williams announced that she'd use a GLP-1 weight loss medication and was partnering with Ro, the telehealth company that prescribes these medications, in which her husband Alexis, I don't know. I'm really not doing it with these names. Ohanian is an investor. She faced similar backlash. Jamil expressed her uneasiness in an Instagram story, writing, "The thing I feel most uncomfortable about here is that celebrities have access to doctors most others don't have access to." Longtime body positivity influencer and author Megan Jane Crabb voiced her own disappointment on a podcast, saying, "The fact that she is literally advertising them is mind-blowing to me, and really sums up that we are back there. We are back in the thick of 90s diet culture, heroin chic, get thin, or die trying." And of course, Lizzo, arguably the celebrity who has received the most flack for her weight loss, which she says was not the result of medication or surgery, was continuously criticized for her body change this year. So much so that she wrote a Substack article titled, Why is everybody losing weight, and what do we do? Sincerely, a person who's lost weight. I might need to read that. Let me take a picture of that. Hold on. We're going to read that if I can. I'll have to see. I don't want to do anything if it's behind a paywall, just because I don't know if that's copyright. But I'll check it out. She said the way she'd been treated as a public figure since she was introduced to the world as a confident, body positive figure had been borderline emotional abuse, and she eventually grew weary of being society's punching bag. "I was sick and tired of my identity being overshadowed by my fatness," she wrote. It does happen. Told you, it is, there is a social aspect, but it's just exaggerated. That's all I can put it. It's the best way I can put it. There are countless other examples from this year of celebrities who were once in larger bodies and decided to lose weight. And while many fans have felt betrayed by public figures they'd once considered beacons of hope and representation, their idols' personal decisions to change their bodies is not indicative of a move away from body positivity. Weight loss itself is not inherently problematic, something that, if I'm being honest, I used to think was not the case in the years following my own TR recovery. What's troubling is the gradual and persistent normalization of blank, no, which includes the glorification of one specific body type to the exclusion and detriment of others. No. Bullshit. Rolling my eyes. And the thing is, like, this has been going on forever. It's just people that have the issue are putting it out there. It's happened forever. People do it reductively. People do it with Hinge. People do it with everything. I don't know if people really do it with Mia because, I don't know. It seems like that doesn't happen. I haven't really seen that, but I've seen the other ones for sure. I feel like those two, they're just so vocal about it. And within the reductive side, it's like both of them will project. Like Hinge and the reductive side will both project, they will project that somebody's not having enough no matter what. And it's like, or that your motivations are for what their motivations were for or whatever. And it's like, no, like you're projecting, but that's always happened. So I'm just like, I'm really interested to see the obesity statistics of what happened after this year. I'm so interested. And hopefully we'll get some of that in January because I want to see if anything actually changed. That's what I really want to see. Okay, I know I'm a part of a change because I was obese when the year began, and I'm not anymore. I'm not even overweight. So I'm definitely in a different category. And then it was the same thing last year where I started the year super morbid and then I was just obese by the end. So I would be a part of some shift, but I guess we'll see what happens. Hopefully there's numbers in January. I'm really excited, or like I'm really looking forward to that, to see. Okay, we've been here before, and most millennials will tell you that it didn't turn out well for us. It's not GLP-1s themselves that are the problem, or bariatric surgeries, or any single person's decision to lose weight. It's the resurgence of I can't say this, in blank content in the form of blank. That was already banned. It's the misuse of medications and other tools to achieve a level of thinness that has nothing to do with health or happiness. And it's the lack of care or regard for those who do live in bigger bodies and are not actively pursuing weight loss for whatever reason. So my problem is that, like, they're two sides of the same coin, though. Like, if you support one side, then you're just as bad as somebody supporting the other. That's my opinion. Again, this is why I don't like the addiction narrative, because people forget about being overly reductive within that framework. You need to think of it as bimodal or even trimodal if you incorporate Mia into it, because it's all bad. All of them are bad. And honestly, if you support one of them, you support all of them. You just do. If you buy into the logic of one of them, you buy into the logic of all of them. They're all reinforcing of each other. All of them are. So you have to reject all of it. You literally have to, in order to not be encouraging it, you know? Because it's like, to me, I don't see it as any different. Honestly, I don't see it as any different than this writer probably supporting people being 350 pounds. And I'm happy that she can say, like, I can understand why some people may need to downsize for their health. That's a step in the right direction. That's good, you know, but it's like, I don't know. I don't see a complete recovery. And again, this is another person who has a past of the toxic ritualistic, a past. I don't know if it's really the past, you know. I really question, because of somehow she's writing this. There's a lot of projection. You know, I don't really... There are very, like, I think that there's this idea, too, that the toxic ritualistic is always so severe, and it's not. It isn't. Sometimes it's just a little bit of it. You know, it's I look fat because I don't have abs. That's a touch of the reductive side in men. I've seen that quite a bit. It's I don't want to eat anything but this, this, and this. It's a touch of it. If you feel like you're going to die, if you have something different for a day, like, you're not thinking about it realistically. You know, it's I need to control what everyone else does around me. That's where I see it. Or like, I have to be in a group of friends where we're all eating the exact same way. I've seen that. That's reductive to me. That's like on the reductive side. But it can also be on Hinge, because people are controlling about what other people eat in Hinge too. But it's usually just like they want you to eat more with them, kind of thing, which I'm sure everybody's dealt with that before. But it's like, that's the kind of thing that, like, so for me, it's like I see those things, but they're not everybody. And it all comes from this mystical idea that fatness comes from something that isn't just calories. And when you leave that behind, then you open the door to going to all these crazy places regardless. And you have all these superstitious beliefs about what makes somebody big. And to me, it's like, I've already been huge. I've already downsized. I've already seen it all. I'm in my Lana era, right? I've seen the world. I've done it all. So it's like, no, it really is just the calories as far as your size, like your health. Yeah. But again, where I can agree with an article like this, which, gosh, this is really digging for something to agree with, is that your weight is not the be all end all of your health. That's true, but your weight is definitely something that influences your health. I am much healthier being an average weight. But by the same token, that doesn't mean that the work in maintaining my health or in getting healthier is done just because I'm an average weight. It's not over. I was dealing with iron deficient anemia, which I think is mostly gone, to be honest. But it was something that was independent of my weight. It had nothing to do with my weight. And it was still a problem. I got my teeth, I had to get deep cleaning. That was a health thing that had nothing to do with my weight. And I got it taken care of. My gums are doing great. My periodontitis is basically, it's doing really great. So it's like, these are things that don't have to do with weight. You get me? Like, there's more to it than just your weight. And I think that is a toxic ritualistic idea that the only thing we have to consider is our weight. That's also not true. So I agree with that. But it's like, I don't really see that. There's no advocacy for that in any of these articles. They never talk about health, ever. Other than to say, we don't know, 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 we know. Like, shut the fuck up. We know that weight affects your health. It affects your health if you're over or under. It affects. And we know that whatever's going on in Mia affects your health. I mean, hell yeah, it does. You are seriously lying to yourself if you think it doesn't hurt you. So, anyways, okay. What's making the movement feel so confronting is visibility. Gordon's, oh my gosh, not Aubrey Gordon, here she is. We briefly saw more body diversity in mainstream spaces, and now we're watching those bodies disappear again. Many people who entered public view in non-thin bodies have since lost weight, and when bodies shrink, it's noticeable. That shift can feel like a regression, even though the underlying value system never truly changed. This cycle underscores the persistent obstacles the movement faces. I hate to say it, but she's more aware than a lot of these people, because she understands that it never really changed. She can understand that it hasn't changed, which, like I said, she's more in the know, I think. But again, what she's doing with that statement is she's just trying to hold on to whoever's still in the TR, and she's trying to keep people there with her. That's all that she does. I guess that's where my naivete got the best of me when I wrote about these issues in the past tense. Anti-fat bias and the conflation of extreme thinness with beauty, discipline, and health has never gone away. Okay? Duh. So what was the point of this? But this moment in time does feel closer to the toxicity of the early 2000s, when tabloids freely and shamelessly compared celebrity bikini bodies, and bloggers speculated about every pound lost or gained. What has changed is not the pressure to be thin, but the scale and the speed of its amplification by technology, Gordon says. Medications, filters, AI, cosmetic procedures, and heavily edited images intensify unrealistic standards, making them even less attainable and more pervasive. So to me, all it is that the TR is just currently shedding its skin, and it's coming back more in a different form. And they're just upset that their preferred way is not the way anymore. And because of that, they might have to change it, because toxic ritualistic trends, they matter a lot if you're in it. You don't want to feel like you're left behind or something, you know? It's a hive mind for sure. But I think it's just the scales have tipped, where now maybe it's leaning more reductive, or it's starting to shift. But again, the toxic ritualistic world is not the majority of people. So I think maybe that's what they're seeing, or that's what they're saying. It's like they perceive it because they never left it. So they're like, oh, the popular version of this problem is changing now. I think that might be what's happening. And they're just grieving that. They're upset about it. Which, okay, I guess. I mean, to me, it's all the same. Like I said, I feel like it's all the same. Therapy and TR specialist Alyssa Mass, a licensed marriage and family therapist, says cultural waves are rarely truly the mark of the beginning or end of anything, including the body positivity movement. Frankly, I think that type of absolute black and white thinking is more dangerous than anything. The pendulum swings, and medical and technological advances always shift our world and culture. We don't need to sensationalize those challenges. We can, however, continue to learn, grow, and have a healthy dialogue about what's going on around us and how we want to engage. Okay, that was a big nothing statement. Engaging in these conversations can feel exhausting, of course, particularly when it feels... You guys live for this. When you're in the TR, this is all you want to talk about. So don't even... Like, that was just stupid. I feel like she's obsessed with talking about it, probably. But, okay. Particularly when it feels as if progress hasn't just stalled but been lost. There are no clear-cut answers about what's right or wrong, because other people's bodies are not our business. But we also feel compelled to call out troubling trends toward extreme thinness because blank culture is fucking terrifying and deadly. You didn't care about it when it was Hinge. So, again, it's very hollow to me to hear this. I don't believe you. As frustrating as that is, the lack of forward momentum in the fight for body diversity and autonomy doesn't mean the end of body positivity in all its forms. It is, however, a sign of something much deeper than aesthetics. I suspect that like all trends, this too will be cyclical, says clinical psychologist Erin Parks, chief clinical officer and co-founder of the Blank recovery program, recovery platform Equip. So many beauty trends, including staying small, are really about staying young, and time is something that no trend can stop. Gosh, this is awful. I will fight it all. So I don't care what it is. I don't stand with it. So again, what I see is a lot of people are changing it, basically. You're having people shift to a different one. But again, what does that mean in the grand scheme? It means that there's a lot of work to do still, and it hasn't completely changed. And it's something that we in anti-FA do have to look at, which people have. People have commented on people who are too thin within anti-FA, which I'm glad to see. So hopefully we'll all be there, you know. Staying small has also historically been linked to staying weak, preoccupied, or politically apathetic, all qualities that women in this country, or frankly any country, cannot afford to be at this moment. I hate it when they say this, because it's not as if you're so strong and mentally clear when you are obese. You're not at all. I would say that being obese is a state of being weak and preoccupied. And politically, you're so, especially if you're in the TR, the toxic ritualistic, you're so easily distracted from everything all the time that it's like it is just so stupid. I just hate that sentence so much. It's like, what kind of delusional world are you living in that being hugely fat somehow makes you politically stronger? I mean, are you kidding me? There are also traits that directly contradict the original roots of the body positivity movement. Jamila appropriately highlights that true body liberation is about dismantling the hierarchy of bodies entirely. Okay, then why are you guys constantly reinforcing it? The same forces that profit from our body insecurities are still there, and they're still very good at repackaging the same harm in new language. Wellness, health, optimization, it's all reductiveness with new branding. So what do we do from here? Analyzing and criticizing others' bodies remains largely unacceptable and unhelpful, but with so many bodies drastically shrinking and those that aren't being dismissed or derided, do we ignore the amplified messages that link thinness with morality and virtue? The answers, like the problem, aren't straightforward. Singling out a celebrity or medication doesn't resurrect or strengthen the body positivity movement. Assigning moral value to a person's size doesn't address the systemic inequalities, problematic beauty ideals, and health care barriers that alienate individuals in larger bodies and perpetuate a cultural obsession with extreme weight loss. On an individual level, curating our social media feeds to avoid seeing images, this is just all reinforcement. Okay, that's what this was. This whole article is just, we want to keep people on our side of the TR together. That's all it was. So if you thought it was anything more than that, we've arrived at the destination. We have arrived at what the purpose was. It's to get you to go into an echo chamber and stay in the problem. And therefore, it is to reinforce you. That was the point. On an individual level, curating our social media feeds to avoid seeing images that feel triggering isn't trivial. It's self-preservation. But in the spirit of the original body positivity movement, we can't give up fighting for people in marginalized bodies to feel safe, respected, and cared for. So we need to continue demanding to see bodies of all shapes and sizes on our screens and in the spotlight. It's about reinforcement. The Ozempic age hasn't marked the end of body positivity. It's a reminder that bodily autonomy is a human right all of a sudden. So we'll see if more people say that. If they do, then they've gone defensive. All bodies, especially those not being represented equally, are worthy and deserving of respect. As we move into a new year, there will be so much rhetoric around transformation and starting fresh that will be twisted into resolutions and plans to lose weight. For some people, taking steps to change their body will be what's best for their physical and mental health. For others, it's a knee-jerk reaction to what they see around them. We can't and shouldn't tell people what to do, but we can continue speaking out about the societal glorification of one very specific body type to the exclusion of all others. Body positivity isn't dead. It just needs to be recognized as more than a hashtag. Gosh. Well, I'm not losing weight. So I support you guys that are. I support all forms of recovery on this channel. Let me be clear about that. But I am currently in the maintenance phase. So, oh my gosh, that's what's best for my health at this moment, and honestly for my vanity. It's best for both right now, is for me to maintain. So that's what I'm doing. But again, I'm not on the other side of the TR. I left it. When I said I left it, I meant it. That's why I had a whole tortured era, and it was a big deal. Because I actually left. You can too. Get out of it and stay out of it. But once you get out of it, you're not going to go back because it's awful. Like, imagine actually writing this article, Jeez. Okay, that was everything. So I will talk to you guys again tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. Happy New Year, everybody. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.